What's happening, everybody? Tonight we are going to be making some tessellations out of square pieces of paper. And if you're wondering what exactly is a tessellation, well, this is one. It's a really boring one. It's a shape that when you put it next to itself or above itself, it's going to fit together perfectly with no gaps or overlap in the design as you continue to connect your shapes. However, we are going to turn this into something really dynamic and awesome using a few simple steps. So let's get down into the creation station and check it out. All right, so here we are in the creation station with our piece of paper, and the first thing we want to do is we want to cut our shape from one side to the other. Now, if we just cut a straight line and remove it, we're going to end up with the same thing. So you want something a little more fun and interesting. Now, you could go from a corner to a corner because you're technically going from one side to the other, but I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to go somewhere near the middle. I'm going to draw a line that's something that I'm going to be able to cut. And I'll tell you, for starters, a simpler design is going to be easier, and then as you get used to what you're doing and see what the tessellation is all about, you can try something a little bit more exciting and interesting. This looks like it's going to be pretty cool to start off with. Now, as we cut it, we're not going to worry so much about how perfectly we cut the line, but we're just going to use it simply as a guide, because you do not want to lose any of your shape cutting it off. So you don't want to cut off sections of the line where you may have missed with the scissors. You just want to simply do the very best job that you can separating the shape. Now, first step we're going to do is we are going to take the two flat ends and we are going to move them without flipping them or anything like that. We're simply going to move them, and I'm going to use a piece of tape here, and it looks like I may have put quite a bit extra on there. I'm going to go ahead and tear that off and get a fresh little piece. All right, and I'm going to attach it to one side of my shape. Make sure it still matches, and I'm going to put it end to end and lay it down flat with a second strip over top, just like that. Okay, now that we have our new shape, we have our two flat ends here on the top and the bottom. We're going to do another line that's going through it. It can go anywhere from one side to the other. Again, like I said, for starters, I am just going to start with the middle. Okay, I'm going to do something maybe a little more geometric this time, and we'll end up right there. All right, so what's going to happen is we are going to cut this shape out following the line, and so we are going to end up with two new pieces. All right, just like this, just like that. All right, so what we are going to do now is we are going to take our two ends and match them up just like this. Now, just to be sure, and you can do this at the beginning, we're going to go ahead and put a little kind of target right at our four corners that we started with. You want to make sure you match it up. Sometimes when I do these with my students, they want to match up the two ends. That's going to kind of mess up your shape a little bit. You want to make sure you match up the four target points. So we're going to go ahead and add this here, little line, and on the side right here, just like that. And this is our tessellation shape. Now, if we did everything correctly, that means we're going to put it down on this piece of paper, and we're going to go ahead and trace it. So I'm going to quickly go around my shape, and depending on how much you care about this work of art, you can go really slowly. You can use a thicker piece of paper, which is going to make it a lot easier for tracing. But for this example, I'm just using this simple square scrap that I had. So I'm going to go ahead and go around just like this. This is a great opportunity to practice keeping a steady hand, following along, using a template without moving it. And here we go, having a little bit of fun to see with what we end up with. So there is our tessellating shape. Now, if we take our shape and we move it up to the top, look at that, it fits in perfectly. And we could trace it just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I'm not gonna go over the lines I already drew. I'm gonna simply just pick up where my new shape begins on the edge. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the side. Ooh, would you look at that? Fits perfectly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move it just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and outline the bottom portion of the shape. Then I'm gonna move it down to the bottom. Oh, look at that, fit perfectly. And I'm gonna go ahead and trace all the way down here and all the way down here. And then if I move it onto my right side, look at that. Just like that, I have a perfect tessellating shape. Now, let's just double check. That fits, that fits like a glove, fits like a puzzle. So there is our new tessellating pattern and design. Now, I'm gonna do one more of these, a little bit more advanced just for fun. So we're gonna set this paper aside and take our tessellating shape and move it here. And now here's a little pro tip. Go ahead and put a little angle drawing right on each corner, and that's gonna help you match everything up at the beginning. We're gonna go ahead and use something that's gonna go top to bottom. All right, so that one's gonna be a little bit wilder. We're gonna go ahead and carefully cut that line out. Go all the way around just like this. Back up, back down again. Not worried as much about making the line perfect, just doing the best we can. I'm doing a pretty good job, especially since I'm using these kitchen shears. You have to work with what you have to the best of your ability. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna take our 4 ends, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna match them up, tape them down. Now, here's a little trick. Put a piece of tape on one, flip it over, double check that they match. Put those square edges together. All right. Good. We're gonna go through it now. All right, so I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go up here, I'll wave it a little bit. Just like that. Okay, so we still went from one side to the other, even though we went up and down a little bit. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut this out. Sometimes it helps if you put a little extra tape on it. I had enough, but you could put more, especially for a shape like this, just to keep your ends from moving. I'm gonna come right back into it, boop, just like that. All right, now, here's the trick. Take your 4 corners and match that up, and that is so cool. So we have a much smaller section in the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and line it up, get my tape on there. All right, flip it over, get a little tape on the opposite end, and voila, presto, there we have our next tessellating shape. Now, let's just give it the test. Cool thing about a shape like this is you can twist it any way you like. You know how you angle it on the paper, you can start in the corner. I'll go ahead and start right there, and we're going to go ahead and carefully trace this one before we double check everything. Slightly, just to fix it. Again, if you're really concerned about how perfect it is, you may want to start with a pencil. And then once you're happy with the way the outline looks, you can go back over it however you'd like. You can get really technical with these. They can be a whole lot of fun. This is just the beginning, just the basic idea. This whole concept comes in really handy for trying to figure out how to work with difficult spaces. Look at that. We have a perfect fit. Look at that. We have a perfect fit. Right there. We have a perfect fit. We have another fit right there. And we have another fit right there, just by simply moving the shape. Now, you know what I see? I kind of see like a carnival animal. And that's the cool thing. It's like a dragon, and then you sit right here, and then you have your pole going down. We're gonna have a bunch of them, and we can make some really cool designs. So now you know how to create a tessellation and what it is. And in our next video, we're gonna talk about what to do as far as designing it. So like, subscribe, click that bell, and leave some suggestions in the comments of what you would like to see next and what you think that this could be. Hope you all have fun creating your own tessellations, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Goodbye.